Hey folks, Mike here at Chasing Trail. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too much. I'm also trying not to yell into my microphone today because I noticed I get a bit of clipping. Sometimes it's hard to hear myself talk over the noise. So, in any case, it is Saturday, July, I don't know exactly what day. 8th, 7th, anyway, early July, and my dad and I are on a ride up to Chester, up past Lake Almanor. And in stark contrast to the last video I posted, which was me riding on Ponderosa Road, which turned out to be a pretty miserable ride that day. Today's ride has been sublime. We came down the freeway, then the highway. Now we are on Highway 32, headed east of Chico, up into the hills. Starting to get prettier up here, so I figured it was a good time to turn on the camera. But yeah, this bike has just been perfect for a ride like this. Can't really think of anything else I'd rather be on, except maybe an Indian Challenger, but not sure that's worth the price difference. Yeah, on these smooth, nice roads, cruising, this bike is a dream. I also have sorted out my handlebar issue. So it turns out my dad was right. It was not the bars, it's the grips. So I put these foam covers they had at my local Harley dealership. They're not grip puppies, same thing though basically. They just, I just slid them over the grips and I've had no numbness at all. I am having pain in my thumb and I think it's because the grip's too fat now. But no numbness, so it's not the bars, which is a huge relief. Just the grips. And that is a much easier fix. Very pleased about that. Forest Ranch. I spent a couple summers working up here when I was going to school in Chico. In fact, that was where I worked, right over there in that building. So I remember I'd go get a sandwich at that little market there every day. It was for an ISP, Internet Service Provider. My job is basically to answer the phone, set up accounts, do basic troubleshooting. Anything more technical is escalated up to an engineer. The owner would sit in his office, drinking liquor, smoking cigarettes, and yelling at his wife, who is one of the web designers. Sounds worse than it was. It was actually a pretty chill work environment. They treated me well. It was a good summer job. And then the next year, I helped my roommate who was doing odd jobs up here. We would either do like brush removal around her property. And his main job for her is she had these old circuit boards that came out of like IBM mainframes. And he'd have to go through the whole board, figure out what was wrong, and then replace the bad part. It was very weird. I don't know where she got these boards, why she had them, what they're being used for. But she'd pay him pretty damn well for the time. I mean, this was back in the early 2000s. and he'd get like $150 per board that he fixed. Some of them took a little bit longer, but some of them were real quick. You'd find the faulty part, resolder on a new capacitor or something, and boom. So that was a pretty sweet gig. I remember her name was Marty. I don't remember much else. I was smoking a lot of dope at the time. I was also riding an 81 Suzuki GS 1100G. It was the exact same year, make, model, and color of a bike my dad had when I was a kid. And he took me on a lot of rides on that bike. When I saw one pop up, I had to have it. That was the first street bike that I purchased with my own money, not the first one that I rode for an extended period. That was a 1976 BMW 60/6. But the Suzuki was the first one I bought with my own money. Had that bike for a couple years while I lived in Chico. My roommate was riding a KLR 650 first gen. We both ride our bikes up here to work and then both ride home. Though he eventually seized his motor. I believe there's an issue with those KLRs where the drain bolt kind of hung down, and he managed to shear his. All the oil leaked out. He didn't know it, he was riding it, and he seized the motor. There goes little Hukalach. I'm content to just cruise, but he hates being stuck behind people. I get it. I prefer when he goes in front, because then he can set the pace he wants to ride. Because I'm always wanting to go a little faster on these kind of roads than he does. Anyway, he sees the motor on his KLR. I had to ride him home on the back of my Suzuki as we got back into Chico and pulled up to the first stoplight. The car next to us was full of 4 sorority girls. They turned and looked at us, 2 grown men on a motorcycle sitting nut to butt, and they just started cracking up laughing. Not my coolest moment on a motorcycle, but had to help a brother out. That KLR ended up in pieces in his kitchen. The apartments we lived in at the time did not have garages. Anyway, that's my little story about Forest Ranch. Honestly not sure if I've ever been to Chester. What I am sure of is that I need to piss. I've needed to piss for some time. We were going to stop at the donut shop. But we got there and it looks like it's out of business. If I can get up next to him here at the light, I gotta tell him I gotta piss. I've gotta piss.
What?
I gotta piss.
Find a place to pull off.
Thank you. Probably should have just pulled off there.
Pull over!
No, it's a cardigan, but thanks for noticing.
Yeah! Killer boots, man! Pull your vehicle to the side of the road! You follow those fools all the way to fucking Chester, I bet.
Yeah.
Why?
Why not?
Because they're going like
like 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, I can't control that.
What?
I can't control that.
You said you had a piss. You went past all kinds of places to stop.
I know, I thought maybe I'd just hold it.